was on the ongoing TRC hearings because a one-time Hajj administrator at the Gambia International Airlines told the TRC that he was given special treatment by the officers on duty during his detention. The Imam was explaining events leading to arrest and subsequent detention at the police headquarters and National Intelligence Agency. Let's have more details of that in this report.
In a rare situation, Imam Al-Haiba Haidara testified before the Truth-Seeking Commission on Monday that he was well treated in prison by officers on duty during the period he was held in custody. The 50-year-old Imam is considered as member of the descendants of Prophet Muhammad, as a reason for which his scholarship is highly followed in the country. He was arrested while presiding over a naming of former Minister of Interior Sambaba by a team of national intelligence officers in 2005, after which he was taken from one detention center to another.
After that vehicle started off from the police headquarters, they headed towards Serekunda. They said they were coming to Serekunda. After that 7 p.m. prayer time,
well, at that time, they just put me inside a vehicle just like that, like a bag of colors.
I then saw myself at the PIU.
Right at the police headquarters, uniformed men recognized the Imam as a respected scholar for whom they break the law to prevent him from entering the detention cells. But he volunteered to lock himself up to prevent unwarranted repercussion on the policemen.
He said to me, Sheriff, I will not do it. For 3 times. I said to him, then, where are the keys? The keys to the prison. He said to me, here they are. I said to him, now, sit down. I will open the prison door myself. He said, Sheriff, I said, I will do it.
Even after getting his way into the cells, other detainees took it upon themselves to fan him off the mosquitoes and heat all night. Asked why he decided to lock himself, the sheriff told the TRC that he did so because most of the followers of the Prophet have experienced imprisonment for standing up their rights. The Imam said he was questioned by the Crime Management Coordinator Jata Balde on the content of his regular sermons before Muslims in the mosque. On the contents of his sermons, the Imam told the crime investigators that all his teachings are based on current affairs, latest of which was on pilgrimage visits to the holy mosque in Mecca. The Imam said he offered them access to archive of Islamic lectures kept by administration of his mosque in Yundum. The situation of Al-Haiba Haidara was one in series of attacks on religious freedom under the leadership of former President Yahya Jammeh. He had been accused of preaching against the Jammeh administration, but investigators could not provide grounds to keep him imprisoned. For IF
and Home Digital FM in Brikama to cease operations in the wake of mass uprising, calling on President Adama Barrow to step down on Sunday. 4 journalists, including Pamodu Bojang, manager of Home Digital FM, and Jibi Jallo, manager of King FM, have since been held under police custody. Keba Kamara, assistant manager of King FM, told iAfrica that police have not given any reason for the closure of the radio and detention of their radio manager. Offices of King FM in Talinding are currently occupied by personnel of the Police Intervention Unit who would not speak to any journalists. In a press conference on Monday, the Gambia Press Union described the attack on journalists as unlawful. The union urged journalists to disregard government's attempt to dictate journalists on the choices of their programs. Journalists consider this attempt to nuzzle the press as mockery of the transitional justice process and the ongoing democratic reforms. They call for immediate release of journalists and lift the ban on the 2 radio stations. Reporting for Africa News, I am Amadou Kante.
And from that report on the release of the arrested journalists, we will now take a break and come back shortly. Welcome back. You are watching The World Today on Africa TV, and now to the rest of the stories. Hopes for the Gambia to go on referendum early this year is changing as the Constitutional Review Commission has changed the date for the final draft. The Commission held a press conference on Monday to inform the public that the next constitution for the country will be delivered March 2020. For more details of that, we go with this report.
Constitutional Review Commission hopes to finalize its assignment on drafting Gambia's new constitution and the accompanying report by March, Chairman Justice Cherno Suleiman Jallow said on Monday. During a press conference at the Commissioner's Future Leg building in Kotu, Justice Jallow said they are working hard to ensure that they meet their target date for the final draft and the subsequent submission to the President. The CRC is established by an act of the Parliament in June 2018 to review and analyze the current Gambia Constitution, draft a new constitution, and prepare a report in relation to the new constitution. The report will outline the processes engaged in reviewing and drafting the new constitution and provide the rationale for the provisions contained in the new constitution. Justice Jallow praised Gambians for their overwhelming support and encouragement to the Commission throughout the drafting process, saying as in every constitutional development in any country, the final product will never satisfy every view and opinion canvassed. He said constitutional development is effectively a negotiation process of give and take, and it can never address all issues.
As with every constitutional development in any country, the final product will never satisfy every view and opinion canvassed. Constitutional development is effectively a negotiation process of give and take. It can never address all issues. In our case here in the Gambia, we had put in place a very robust, transparent, inclusive, and participatory public consultation process whereby every citizen and other stakeholders had the opportunity to make a contribution.
Since the publication of the first draft in November last year, the new constitution came under divergent views, mainly on religious lines, with the Christian denomination calling for the inclusion of the word secular, while the Muslims deny it. Justice Jallow said they have embarked on 2 rounds of countrywide public consultations to share and inform the public on the provisions in the draft constitution, hearing the citizens' perception on the proposed provisions and recommendations offered by citizens.
In all these communities, the CRC ensured that the local government authorities, CFOs, alcalos, school administrators, and community-based organizations were availed with adequate advance copies of the draft constitution in order to facilitate public access and to allow Gambians to familiarize themselves with the proposed provisions and subsequently provide feedback to the Commission.
He added that the Commission have also undertaken series of consultations, informing the public about the provisions in the draft constitution and soliciting feedback that would help it to prepare a final draft for the Gambia. For iAfrica News, I am Binta Baji.
The Constitutional Review Commission continues its work to provide a new constitution for the Gambia. Now, the Gambia has joined the rest of Africa in taking up the responsibility and groundbreaking study on impact of child undernutrition. Let's have more details of that in this report.
The Gambia has joined the rest of Africa in taking up the responsibilities and groundbreaking study on impact of child undernutrition. The Cost of Hunger in Africa study report is a Pan-Africa initiative led by the African Union Commission and the NEPAM Planning and Coordinating Agency. It is supported by the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean and the United Nations World Food Programme. Gambia's Vice President, Dr. Aissatou Touré, Monday led the launch of the report at the Kairaba Beach Hotel in Senegambia, organized by FAO Gambia Office and partners. Vice President Touré told the gathering that the Gambia is among the first 26 countries globally to validate the COHA finding. She said about 20 of those countries are in Africa. According to her, Gambia had immediately requested for the Office of the Vice President to be part of the study when it was informed in June 2018.
And we are indeed very pleased to have participated in this study as it represents a unique and timely contribution to help us understand the impact of child undernutrition in our country's socio-economic development.
The Vice President assured partners that her office and the government will continue to provide financial support to the nutritional intervention in the country. Wanja Kara, representative of World Food Programme, and Malak Fofana of National Nutritional Agency gave a presentation on the Koha Gambia report.
The study was really initiated by the AU to raise the profile of malnutrition and demonstrate its far-reaching, go all the way, consequences of socioeconomic development and show its multidimensional implications.
Both the family and the health system are faced with additional cost. We know there are cost implications in the treatment of undernutrition as it may be. And this study has helped us to look at some of those implications.
Bakari Sanyang, Governor of West Coast Region, believes that the study will have a great impact in the welfare of children under nutrition. Governor Sanyang explained that the study was conducted by almost all African Union member states in 2014, but it was launched by Gambia in December 2018. He said as builders build strong foundation to put a safe and strong structure, so as Gambian government needs strong and healthy children to prepare them for a tough and challenging nation building. Reporting for iAfrican News, I am Aissatou Tamba.
From that report there by Aissatou Tamba, next we talk about home matters in Africa, because housing in Africa is defined by the nature of infrastructure, one of which is the round hut. Communities in Zimbabwe are out of preserved these beautiful housings on the continent. For more details of that, we go with this report.
But this rugged terrain has delayed the delivery of telecommunications and electricity here.
It may be cut off from all those modern conveniences, but this area remains deeply rooted and connected to its history, culture, and heritage.
Mud hut walls are the canvas for ornate paintings. Local women produce these each year using different color soils and charcoal.
We paint after the harvest when we have spare time and do not have to go into the fields. It's a way meant to beautify our homes.
Beyond aesthetics, the decorations which are carried through inside the houses are evocative of the history of the Ndebele people who settled here after migrating from Masvingo, home of the great Zimbabwe ruins. The prominently featured circle carries a significant meaning.
When you look at the stars, including the sun, the moon, all of them are secular and they are in constant motion. And if you look at those parts that they follow, their orbits, they are secular or elliptical. So everything about the universe seems to be built around the circle. Right, so that circle, and you look at Africa in terms of their architecture, their cattle crawls, everything about them is secular.
It symbolizes the balance between man and nature, a relationship being put to the test by modernization that is manifesting itself here through the replacement of clay and thatch with brick and mortar. Traditionalists want to see the practice adapted.
So you can modernize without having to use clay, without having to use grass. Use current material. If you are using fiberglass, if you are using glass, you can use it and produce these things.
The rain has washed away some of the artwork, but a fresh coat of paint in a few months will renew its splendor, helping to keep a tradition that's been passed down for generations alive.
My mother taught me how to paint. I have also taught my daughters how to do so that they can continue with this tradition long after I am gone.
That is indeed a beautiful homes there in Zimbabwe with some beautiful designs also on the wall. Well, with that report there, we will end now this news bulletin to an end. But of course, for more on those stories and others, you can also log on our website on africa.tv. Once again, I am Amadou Kante, and thank you very much for the pleasure of your company, and bye for now.